So something else that Tai Chi has taught me that I use all the time in daily life is the idea of presence and intent. This one's a little difficult to get if you're not actually practicing Tai Chi or something like that, where you actually get to try it out. But here's the basic concept and something that you can start kind of playing with on your own. The way that you think about both where you are in space and where you're going, it essentially organizes the body, right? So if I want to go in a specific direction and I'm clear as to which direction that is, the body is going to go in the most efficient way in that direction. If I'm unclear about where I'm going, if I'm like, oh, do I go this way or that way, the body is going to express that same hesitation, and suddenly you're going to be tripping over yourself, right? Because suddenly the body is trying to express that dual intention, which is impossible. So that what happens is you trip and fall. So part of it is, don't try to move when you're confused about where you're going. Take the time to stop and make a choice and decide what I want is I want to go in that direction to pick up that, orange at the grocery store. What tends to happen is we want to go someplace. We know where we're going, but there's obstacles. There's people in the way and all that. And then so what happens is our intent is clear. We know we want to go over there, but suddenly we're unsure as to how to get there. And we're like, oh, should we go this way, that way? Do I wait? And what happens then is your intent is clouded, so your body's not expressing the intent anymore, so that you're going to trip and fall on the way to where you want to go. But the other thing that's happening is you're also sending a signal that everybody around you is picking up, which is essentially a confused signal. You're not letting other people know that you want to go in a particular direction. So it's actually better for you to simply go, even it's crowded supermarket, and you spot the vegetable that you want to have. Make that choice, be clear about that choice, and then go for it. And then the people around you will read your intent, and they will move out of the way. If they can see that you have a clear intent, they can tell, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, they know that person is going to go from here to there, and I'm in the way. And they're going to move out of the way, or they're going to do what needs to be done in order to not have an altercation. So, of course, this doesn't work 100% of the time. You can't just charge through people. But if you're clear and you go, I'm going to go that way, and you're going to go, and if somebody's in your way, then you stop and go, excuse me, and then they move, and then you can continue going. But what you don't want to do is go, ooh, do I go around this way or this way? No. Then you're confusing everybody, including yourself and your body. What you want is have a clear intent. Boom. I'm going to go that way. Then you go. And then everybody around you knows where you're going, and they can read that. And it solves a ton of problems. But it starts with you, and it starts with making a choice, being clear about that choice, and then following through with that choice. This is sometimes a little more difficult because a lot of people don't have the sense of essentially belonging in space. And so if you find that picking a path through a supermarket is difficult, or picking a path through a crowd is difficult, you have to start looking at yourself and looking at the mind state that you had at that moment, where you have that hesitation, where you feel overwhelmed because there's all these people around you, you don't know which way to go. And the question to ask is, do you belong in that space? And by belong, I don't mean do you have the right to be there or not. No. Do you give yourself the right to be there? Do you feel like you have as much a right as anybody else to fill that space? And one of the most important questions you need to answer, and the correct answer is, yes, you do. And then you need to take that space. And it doesn't mean elbowing people out of the way. It's simply deciding for yourself that yes, boom, I am here and I deserve the space that I am occupying. I deserve to have the space that I need to live, essentially. And that is a statement that can become very powerful, because it's the same, essentially, when you're going to get a vegetable in the grocery aisle, you start from, I deserve to be here. I have the right to be in this space, and I have the right to go get to be in the space that's over there next to the cucumbers that I want. And then bridging those two spots by going, my intent is as valid as anybody else's. No one else has has a greater right to be on this earth than yourself. And it can sound selfish, and of course, and this is baked into Taoism, by the way. Like, compassion is always the rule number one, right? It's the golden rule: treat other people the way you'd like to be treated. So it's within that context that I'm talking about. So it's not about saying nobody else has the right to be here, everybody move out of my way. But it is about saying, I belong here. I have the right to be here. The fact that there's people around me doesn't negate the fact that I deserve and I have the right to be in this space. Because that creates a very grounding feeling, and it's a grounding feeling that other people can read as well. If you're standing there, confident in the sense that you belong here, people will read it. And they won't try to bump into you or move you out of the way, because they'll see, oh no, that person is not going to move. I can't just bump into that person and they'll scurry away. That person is like a rock, and it was going to take me effort for me to move them. So the first step is finding yourself. The first step is planting yourself and saying, I belong here. I deserve to be here. And the only thing you need to prove that is that you exist. You don't need anything else. You don't need any authority to tell you that you belong here. Because you're alive, you belong where you are. You deserve bodily autonomy, and you deserve the space that you need to live a fruitful life. And that means that at any moment, whether it's in a crowd or in the middle of a field, the space that you occupy is yours, and you deserve it. And it's from that space that now you can interact with others. Maybe there's other people here that you have to share the space with, but now you're dancing. You're not excusing your existence. You're dancing with other people as you basically try to choreograph how you're going to move through space. You can walk through a field and decide you're not going to step on the flowers, because the flowers you decide are too pretty and they have just as much a right to exist in this field as you do. So you're not going to step on them. You're going to take the time to walk around the flowers, walk around, whatever it is that's around you, in order to not disturb them or destroy them. But now it's not because you don't belong there. It's because now you're engaging with the world around you. You're engaging with nature, you're engaging with people, and now it's a dialogue. But you can't have a dialogue with everybody else if you start from the idea that you don't belong there, because then it's not a dialogue anymore, it's a monologue, and everything around you and everybody around you, they're the ones talking, and you don't have a say. And that's not correct. It should be a dialogue, which means that you have to start from the idea that you have a right to be there, and you have the power to enforce that right. And that power is simply a power of will. Do you truly believe that you are here and you belong here and this is your space? Right? And everything comes from there. Now you can dance. Now you can have a dialogue. Okay? So start with that. Clear sense of self, clear sense of space, and then clear sense of intent when you move through space. Okay?